All right, Shalom. All praises goes to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, Bashim Kakudash. The honors goes to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, from whom we learn the truth. And much love and peace and blessings goes out to all the hopeful elect out there that are teaching the word of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. So basically, it's going to be a lesson, and give it the title of why isn't this considered hate speech? Okay, because this is based upon this article that I bumped into. I'm gonna read a little bit of it and go into some scriptures. That you got these Messianic Jews out of Arizona, Jewish folks, that they're really Amalekites. You know, the imposter Jews that we always speak of are saying that the Igbos are not Israelites, that they're not Jews, they're not real Jews. But wait, when we say this very same thing as when we upload our videos, that's considered hate speech, and then we get ostracized, and our videos get flagged and everything like that. That's considered hate speech. But then when these devils do it, that's not hate speech. That's just, they're just, making a claim. You see the hypocrisy in that. And this article goes back to 2017. But as far as I know, this group, which is known as the Jewish Voice Ministries, they ain't getting attacked for saying things like this. All right, and furthermore, the Igbos, they are Israelites, and you Edomites out there, you Caucasian, quote unquote Jews, you're not really Jews. You're Edomites, man. You are the descendants of Esau, according to the Bible, according to biblical prophecy. Now, do we have DNA samples of ancient Edomites or DNA samples from Esau himself, so we could prove that you're Edomites? No. But the thing is, we have the Holy Spirit that reveals us the truth of the Bible, of what you may call the Torah, the Tanakh, and the New Testament, to identify who you are, and you are the Edomites. Because when you have the understanding of biblical prophecy and the characteristics of these different nations, you look up the meaning of their names and so forth, who's who. And Edom, actually, which was the name of the nation that Esau fathered, the word for Edom in Hebrew is Adawam, which means red. And there's only one red people in the face of the earth, and they called white people. But really, they're red because their skin is translucent, so their blood soaks forth through their skin. Pretty much all other people, whether you are so-called African or so-called Asian person, so-called Arabic and Indian and so forth, I'm just going by their modern names, they have pigment. They have different shades of melanin in their skin. So beyond that, I'm gonna read a little bit of this article. And it says, Messianic Jews to Nigerians, you're not real Jews. And that's a preposterous and a proud claim to make, because how can they come to that conclusion? You have DNA from ancient Israelites. Do you have the DNA of Jacob? Do you have the DNA of Judah to prove this? No, they don't. They're going off samples of people who claim to be Israelites but don't have the proof. It says, religious group from Arizona claims DNA testing proves the Igbo tribe are not genetically Jewish, drawing ire. Who is a Jew? According to the Jewish Messianic group from America, you can find out for only $300 with the private DNA test. You see that? So there's the kicker. You can only go to these guys because they're the authorities, and you got to pay $300 to take the DNA test to see if you're a Jew or not. And furthermore, they go by matrilineal, when in the Bible, the descendants, the lineage is according to who your fathers are, because it says here in Numbers 1:18, and they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers, according to the number of the names from 20 years old and upward by their polls. So we see that the heritage is reckoned, or the lineage is reckoned to who your father is, not your mother. Because I'm not sure if they did a Y DNA test or there's a different type of DNA test that goes through your mother's line, but a Y DNA test samples your father's DNA. But usually I just know by foreknowledge that Jewish people, you Jewish Khazarians, you go by the lineage of your mother, which is off. It says, and according to this test, the Jewish genetic family does not include Igbo people of Nigeria, a tribe of 30 million who have claimed a connection to Judaism for hundreds of years. So this is a population of 30 million people, but none of them are Israelites, right? According to them. When the scriptures say that the Israelites will be scattered among all nations. It says, in a move that has garnered condemnation and anger from Nigerian Jews and international scholars. And why? Because the scholars know. Scholars actually research, the anthropology, the study of, the movements of people and people's history to come to these facts. You can't take DNA tests and assume somebody is an Israelite or not. It's spiritual. It says, Jewish Voice Ministries, a messianic group from Arizona, announced this week that the Igbo are not genetically Jewish based on their private DNA tests. Messianic Judaism, whose adherents consider Jesus to be the Jewish Messiah, is regarded by Israel and Jewish organizations as a form of Christianity. Jewish Voice Ministry said they traveled to Nigeria to investigate claims that the Igbo people are descendants of ancient Israelites. Some Igbo believe that the term Igbo is a bastardized version of the word Hebrew and point to many cultural similarities between Igbo traditions and Judaism. That's the only proof to be had to people. If you could make a comparison to ancient people to modern people, is their cultural similarities and their traditions, because you can't go by DNA because you don't have the DNA fragments of ancient Israelites. They just don't exist. Those bones are just too dated. You can't, that science can't be proven. And furthermore, you can't really prove, if you pick up a group of bones, to prove if that person is an Israelite or not, because you don't really know who that person is. Let's just say you have let's just say you could take the DNA of bones found 3,000 years ago during the time of Moses and so forth, right? And you took the DNA of this bone sample, and this guy was buried with, relics of who he was, like he was the son of this person who was an Israelite. But who's to say that this man or woman was not a bastard, that somewhere in his line his mother went with another nation? You see what I mean? So the thing is, it's a spiritual science, not carnal science, that comes to the conclusion. And not science just means knowledge, that you could come conclusively to who the Israelites are and who they're not. And without a doubt, Igbos are Israelites, because the bulk of the Israelites are in the Western Hemisphere, the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. But when you go to who the so-called Negroes are, that's over here in America and the Caribbean islands and everywhere, when they were taken from slavery, a lot of the Igbos of that time got put in slavery and put on cargo slave ships. So the Igbo, they fit the curses in Deuteronomy 28. So these people, man, Jewish Voice Ministry, they don't have jurisdiction to prove who's an Israelite and who's not. So they just coming up with, false things, man. It says the purpose of the test was to provide them with testing and the pursuit of truth in terms of historical identity, said a spokesman for the Jewish Voice Ministries. The DNA did not support their claim to be an ancient people of Israel, but we consider them our brothers through common faith in the Messiah, Yeshua. Which, how can you be brothers in the faith? The only way you could be brothers if you're an actual Israelite. Because the Gentiles that are called to believe in the Messiah are Israelites as well. Because the Most High, Yahweh Shai said, I'm not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. You see this? Matthew 15:24. But he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So if you got believers of the Messiah, Yahweh Shai, it should let you know that they're Israelites as well. And among the modern Jewish people, amongst the people that look like Edomites, some of them are really Israelites. That can't be denied. But here it is. They believe in their same Messiah, but they reject their heritage. They reject their own quote unquote brothers in the faith claim to being brothers of the flesh, but they're not brothers of the flesh. You know, to be honest, they're actually enemies, because these Jewish people represent Esau, and the Igbo are Israelites. They represent Jacob. So let's go to a couple other scriptures. This is Revelation chapter 2 and verse 9. It says, I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. You see? So that's you. So you modern Jews of today, you are the synagogue of Satan. So this is Isaiah chapter 11, verse 12. It says, and he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. So Judah is dispersed, and Israel is dispersed as well. So you have Israelites in every nation and continent. But according to these Jewish people, you majority of times when you look amongst those of a darker hue, like the Igbos or even our people here in America, oh, they can't be Jewish. They can't be Jews. Which our people, we are the real Jews. You're the imposters. You're fakes. So this is Psalm 62 verse 4. It says, they only consult to cast him down from his excellency. They delight in lies. So that's these Edomites, man. They can only consult to cast us down from our excellency, which our excellency is in that we are the sons of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. The word for excellency is Sha'ath. Let's see what it says in the concordance. Basically, it goes into being on high. They kind of cast us down from our high estate that the Most High put us in, our choosing, if you will. Because the Most High set us up. So they want to cast us down by calling us these bywords and proverbs. But, it doesn't work. So let's go to Deuteronomy 28, verse 68. This is the proof of who's an Israelite, who's not. It says, let's go down more. Deuteronomy 28:68. And the Lord Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. You see? So the Lord promised the Israelites that we would go on slavery, into slavery with ships. And if you look it up, Igbos taken in slave ships, right? The Igbo landed mass suicide. Let's read a little bit. I'm going to read this excerpt from this page from blackpast.org. It says, during the voyage, approximately 75 Igbo slaves rose in rebellion, took control of the ship, drowned their captors, and the process caused the grounding of the ship in Dunbar Creek. So this proves that the Igbos was taken into the transatlantic slave trade. And it says, this is from the Wikipedia, this is the excerpt 2, Igbo people in the Atlantic slave trade. It says, the Igbo, whose traditional territory is called the Bight of Biafra, became one of the principal ethnic groups to be enslaved during the transatlantic slave trade. An estimated 14.6% of all slaves taken from the Bight of Biafra between 1650 and 1900. You see? So 14.6% of all slaves, were taken from the place where Igbo was associated with. So a lot of them Igbos were put into slavery on slave ships. So you got the descendants of Igbos in America today, that their ancestry over 400, 400 years ago, they're Igbo. So tell me they're not Hebrews. You can't say that they're not Hebrews. That's hate speech, man. If we go into according to Esau's definition, he's spewing hate speech against our people for saying this bullshit. All right, because you Edomites, you're just hurt, man. You're not the Israelites. You're done. You're finished, and there's nothing much you could do. You just got to go into slavery. So, shalom.